The evacuation sirens wailed across Kepler Station as Commander Zethkar watched the sensor readings with mounting dread. The Voidstorm stretched before them like a cosmic wound, a swirling maelstrom of dark energy and twisted spacetime that consumed everything in its path. 3 light-years wide and growing, it had already devoured 17 star systems, leaving nothing but empty void in its wake. "All civilian vessels have cleared the evacuation zone," reported Lieutenant Vexala, her scaled hands trembling over the console. "The hegemony fleet is retreating to minimum safe distance." Zethkar nodded grimly. In his 40 years of service, he had never seen anything that inspired such universal terror. Crystalline architects, who could reshape matter with thought, alone, fled screaming. The ancient Voidwalkers, who had existed since the universe's dawn, abandoned their sacred duties to escape. Even the machine consciousness of the Eternal Collective had calculated the storm as existentially inadvisable and withdrawn their entire network beyond the galactic rim. Every sapient species had reached the same logical conclusion. The Voidstorm was death incarnate, and survival meant running as far and fast as possible. Every species except one. "Commander," Vexala's voice cracked. "Human vessel approaching on intercept course." Zethkar's 4 eyes focused on the tactical display. A single ship, barely larger than a corvette, was accelerating directly toward the storm's edge. Its hull bore the crude but effective design typical of human engineering. Angular plates welded together with more enthusiasm than elegance, bristling with improvised modifications. "Open a channel," Zethkar ordered. The hologram flickered to life, revealing a human female with graying hair pulled back in a practical knot. Her eyes sparkled with something Zethkar couldn't quite identify. Madness, perhaps, or worse yet, excitement. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the research vessel Magellan," she said, her voice carrying the accent of the human colony worlds. "We're beginning our approach to the storm perimeter." "Captain Vasquez," Zethkar began, his translator struggling. "With the formal diplomatic protocols, you must turn back immediately. The Voidstorm has proven lethal to all who approach. We've lost contact with every probe, every automated system." "Oh, we know," Elena interrupted cheerfully. "That's exactly why we're going in." The connection flickered as another voice called out in the background, a young human male shouting, "Captain, the gravimetric distortion is even more beautiful up close. The way it bends light into those spiral patterns." "Dr. Martinez is our theoretical physicist," Elena explained, as if venturing into cosmic death was routine. "He's absolutely fascinated by the storm's structure. Says it's like nothing in our current models." Zethkar's mandibles clicked in confusion. You're studying it?" "Of course. Look, Commander. May I call you Commander? Every species in the galaxy has decided this thing is too dangerous to approach. That's exactly what makes it interesting." Elena's grin widened. Humanity has this saying, "Fortune favors the bold." Before Zethkar could respond, the human ship's engines flared brighter. But instead of the standard ion drive signature, the readings showed something impossible. They were somehow converting the storm's own dark energy into propulsion. "Impossible," breathed Vexala. "They're using the storm itself as fuel." Elena's voice came through clearly, despite the increasing interference. "Our engineer, Chief Patel, figured out how to reverse polarize our quantum converters. Turns out if you approach it just right, the Voidstorm doesn't destroy energy. It transforms it. We're essentially surfing the edge of oblivion." The human ship danced along the storm's perimeter, its hull glowing with absorbed energies that should have torn it apart. Zethkar watched in horrified fascination as sensor readings showed the vessel not just surviving, but somehow thriving in conditions that violated every known law of physics. Then he heard it, a sound that would haunt his dreams for cycles to come. The humans were singing. The melody drifted across the communication channel, a haunting harmony of voices raised in defiance of the cosmic horror before them. It wasn't a funeral dirge or a prayer for salvation. It was joyous, triumphant, song of celebration as they sailed deeper into the abyss that had terrified the entire galaxy into retreat. Into the storm we go, my friends. Elena's voice rose above the others. Where others fear to tread, we'll chart the paths through endless night and map the realm of dread. They're insane, whispered Vexala. But Zethkar was beginning to understand something profound and terrifying. The humans weren't insane, they were something far more dangerous. They were fearless in the face of the unknown, driven by curiosity rather than self-preservation. Where every logical species saw certain death, they saw opportunity. "Captain," he called out, "your ship's hull integrity." "Holding at 93%, Elena replied without missing a beat in her song. "The storm seems to be strengthening our molecular bonds rather than breaking them down. Dr. Chen thinks it's because we're matching the storm's frequency instead of fighting against it." The Magellan vanished into the heart of the Voidstorm. Its final transmission, a burst of data and the fading echo of human voices raised in song. Zethkar stood motionless at his station, processing what he had witnessed. 3 days later, the impossible happened. The Voidstorm, the cosmic terror that had consumed star systems, began to shrink. Within a week, it had dissipated entirely, leaving behind only a faint aurora of charged particles and a small human research station, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Captain Vasquez," came the familiar voice. "To any vessels in the area, we've established a temporary research outpost in what used to be the storm's eye. The phenomenon was caused by a cascade failure in subspace, easily reversible once you understand the underlying mathematics. We'll be here for another month collecting data before heading home." Zethkar realized that the galaxy had learned something important about humanity that day. When faced with the impossible, when confronted with cosmic horror that sent ancient civilizations fleeing in terror, humans didn't run. They set sail into it singing, turning the galaxy's greatest nightmare into their newest discovery. And perhaps most unsettling of all, they made it look easy.